Sorry. I see. By the way, that money you save is not worth the honor that you compromise.
It is such a big deal.
It's a massive deal.
I think the mistake they made, and I've said on my podcast, she should have never become the CEO and chairman overnight. Because now when people have questions, you got to answer them, right? You're not just a grieving widow, but you very quickly decided that you were equipped.
What happens when the very organization someone helped create starts quietly turning their own words into a weapon against them? That's the scenario conservative insiders are reportedly murmuring about after allegations emerged that Turning Point USA may be resurfacing old Charlie Kirk videos behind the scenes. Not necessarily to defend him, but to gradually undermine the public image he spent years building. And it's easy to see why the idea is unsettling. Charlie Kirk isn't just associated with TPUSA. He essentially is TPUSA. He founded it, grew the student network, and helped turn campus confrontations into viral clips that made him one of the most recognizable figures in conservative politics. So the suggestion that his own past footage could now be repurposed internally has left people confused and asking what's really going on. The person credited with bringing this allegation into the open is Candace Owens. According to her, individuals connected to TPUSA have been combing through years of Kirk's speeches and interviews, isolating specific moments that, if framed the right way, could drastically reshape how the audience sees him. If that claim is accurate, it would mean his digital history is being used to rewrite his reputation in real time. What people keep circling back to, though, is the timing. Why now? What happened behind the scenes that suddenly made old clips worth digging up and pushing back into circulation? The moment that really lit up social media reportedly happened on Twitter, when Turning Point USA shared an older video of Kirk discussing Iran. In the clip, he says, "If you are serious about protecting human rights, you should want to make Iran Western again." And the post didn't appear to be random. TPUSA shared it right after Trump's strike on Iran, making it look like the clip was meant to signal approval of escalation. By bringing that video back at that moment, they were effectively presenting it as proof that Kirk would align with the same hardline approach.
It's very easy to kind of sit in your Western armchair and be like, oh, Israel's terrible. Well, you're able to enjoy free speech rights and a lot of rights here in the West that Iran used to have. And if you are serious about actually protecting human rights, you should want to make Iran Western.
Within minutes, the tweet was slapped with community note, and that note flipped the meaning of the clip on its head. It said, "This clip predates Charlie Kirk's June 2025 statement calling regime change in Iran pathologically insane. He opposed war." And as you all probably know, the Iran issue was one of the last major foreign policy stances Charlie took before he died. He didn't sound torn about it, either. He was blunt. A war with Iran would be reckless, catastrophic. It wouldn't help anyone, not Americans, and certainly not Iranians.
Good, but that's pathologically insane. I'm sorry. It is. How do you know it's going to be better? Yeah, the Ayatollah is awful, but maybe he's one of the few guys that can keep that country together and not have a 90 million person.
That contrast between the two moments, what the old clip suggested versus what he later made unmistakably clear, is exactly why the community note went viral. Once people read it, the post didn't feel like TPUSA was highlighting Charlie's perspective anymore. It started to look like they were pulling an out-of-date soundbite to sell a narrative he had already publicly rejected. And to Candace, this wasn't just an unfortunate or a sloppy tweet. She treated it like an early warning sign, evidence that someone inside the organization could be trying to reframe Charlie Kirk's legacy while the audience is still watching in real time. For a lot of people following the situation, that feeling hit a nerve, because it isn't the first time Turning Point USA has been accused of quietly adjusting how Charlie's beliefs are remembered. Candace claims the real shift began after Erica took control. After Charlie died, TPUSA's future suddenly became an open question. The movement had been built around him so completely that the obvious next issue was who would take over and decide what carrying it forward would actually mean. The answer came quickly. Erica stepped in and assumed leadership. Publicly, it was presented as a way to protect Charlie's legacy. In interviews, Erica repeatedly emphasized that she wanted to continue the mission he started and keep his voice alive for the organization he built.
I know this award is about legacy. It's about my legacy, our children's legacy, my husband's legacy, but it's also about your legacy.
Not everyone bought into that storyline. From the start, One of the most outspoken skeptics was Candace Owens. She said that almost immediately, something about the situation felt off to her. In her view, Charlie was a traditional Christian who put family above everything else. And because of that, Candace believed he would have wanted a very different outcome for his family after he died.
The thing is, like, you got to be at some level terrified, right? It's either the greatest evil that ever happened, or she's terrified, she's in this position. And I think the mistake they made, and I've said on my podcast, she should have never become the CEO and chairman overnight. Because now when people have questions, you got to answer them, right? You're not just a grieving widow, but you very quickly decided that you were equipped to be Charlie. Well, guess what? That's going to be a trial by...
Candace argued that instead of stepping into the political spotlight, Erica should have stayed home with her children and helped them through the grieving process. Especially since, according to Candace, Charlie had left enough money behind that Erica wouldn't have needed to take over the organization for financial reasons. But that isn't what happened. Almost right away, Erica moved into Charlie's role and began running TPUSA herself. Then, people say they started noticing something unusual. The more authority Erica exercised inside the organization, the more it seemed like Charlie's original beliefs and positions were being subtly repackaged and reframed. This is where Candace Owens stopped pulling punches. After the Iran clip controversy blew up, she released episode 2 of her investigative series on Erica, titled Bride of Charlie. In that episode, Candace didn't just criticize Erica's leadership. She went after her character. She portrayed Erica and her mother, Lori, as fame-driven social climbers who had been chasing attention long before Charlie died. Candace also claimed that even before last September's assassination, Lori was constantly pushing Erica to work the room, seek the spotlight, and stay in front of cameras whenever an opportunity came up.
Says that Lori, Erica's mother, is exceedingly problematic. Exceedingly problematic. What people have said to me is she is the person, has always been the person in Erica's ear. Like, she's this type A person that tells her who to go after in each and every room. She knows who those people are, who Erica should instantly transform into.
And if you look at what followed Charlie's death, Candace argues the pattern is hard to miss. Erica has gone from one major TV interview to the next, placing herself at the center of the story and presenting herself as the person protecting Charlie's legacy. But Candace says the issue isn't the media tour. It's what's been happening inside TPUSA, in the background. According to her, the organization Charlie created to promote ideas and energize young conservatives has gradually started to resemble something else entirely. She claims the emphasis has shifted away from a mission and toward merchandising, branding, and turning Charlie's name into a revenue engine. Then she released what she described as a clearest receipt, an audio recording she leaked that allegedly captures Erica speaking only days after Charlie died. In that clip, Erica can reportedly be heard laughing and sounding genuinely excited about how much money TPUSA had already brought in from merchandise tied to Charlie's name. For many people who listen, Candace says, what made it feel especially unsettling was the timing. Charlie had only been gone a matter of days. Candace didn't sugarcoat her view of it. She argued that turning Charlie's name into a profit engine so soon after his death was one of the most sinister ways to distort what he built. After community notes spread and her allegations picked up traction, the online response escalated fast. People weren't just criticizing the tweet anymore. They were accusing TPUSA of abandoning, even betraying, Charlie's legacy. Screenshots of the post started bouncing around Twitter, and the replies turned into a dog pile. One person called it distasteful, dishonest, and disgusting, saying the organization was doing damage to his legacy every day. Others accused TPUSA of twisting his words to satisfy warhawks. Some commenters pushed the conversation even further into speculation, dragging Israel into it and suggesting dark and proven theories. Whether or not those claims had any basis, the point was that the discourse had clearly blown past a single tweet and turned into a full-blown legitimacy fight over what Charlie actually stood for. Candace also highlighted what she saw as another contradiction. She claimed that in the days before his death, Charlie had faced pressure and threats from pro-Israel power players, yet Erica still publicly aligned herself with the pro-Israel world, as if Charlie hadn't shifted his stance near the end. In Candace's telling, it looked less like honoring his final views, and more like ignoring them. But the resurfaced clips weren't the only thing making people uneasy. Not long after Charlie died, supporters noticed something else happening quietly. His back catalog started disappearing, first from Spotify, then Apple Podcasts, and then more clips and episodes began vanishing from YouTube. Before long, longtime followers said even saved episodes were suddenly unavailable. That led to an obvious question. Why would the organization built around him allow his digital footprint to be erased? In a tweet that went viral, Candace directly blamed Erica and claimed the removal came from the top. A TPUSA staffer responded by putting responsibility on the platforms themselves, but a lot of people didn't find that explanation convincing, because multiple platforms don't usually remove the same content in the same window unless there's a request or rights change coming from whoever controls the material. So, to critics, it looked like someone had made a deliberate choice. And once you pair those two trends, older clips reappearing in selective, controversial ways, while full archives quietly disappear, the question becomes much darker. Was TPUSA really preserving Charlie Kirk's legacy, or was someone deciding which parts of his voice the public would still be allowed to hear and which parts needed to fade out?